NHL Network Insider Elliotte Friedman joining us right now. Elliotte, we just heard Ken Holland. You heard him speak earlier today. What were kind of your takeaways about the state of the Oilers and where they're headed?
Look, I'd heard on the weekend that Edmonton had told teams that they were not going to be trading their first-round pick right now. Earlier in the year, Holland had said he would if the team was good enough, and that kind of confirmed it today. He's pulled it back. They're not in a situation where they feel comfortable moving their first-rounder. I also believe that he felt that it's the worst time to make panic moves when you're struggling like this. And he's not interested in doing that. He's not going to be interested in firing his coach. He wants the solution to come inside. And so I wasn't as surprised to hear him say some of the things he said today. I do still think, guys, that not making the playoffs this year is not acceptable in Edmonton. Like, that's not an acceptable outcome. And that's why you're hearing them linked with Evander Kane all the time right now. Now, I just saw Evander Kane's agent, Dan Milstein, tweeted just a second ago that there's no deal in hand and there's nothing signed and there's nothing imminent and there still are decisions to take place. But I do think it's correct to link the Oilers to Kane, and they are a serious suitor. Look, they can say to him, you can play with Connor McDavid, you can be on a number one power play, and, I think for a lot of reasons that's appealing to Kane. I think there are a lot of teams that have backed away from Kane, that they're not in a position that they want to do this, but there are some teams that are in it, and the Oilers are very much one of them. The other team I'm kind of wondering about, I do think Kane has looked at some contenders. I think some contenders have considered him. And I'm not saying that they're all over this or anything's imminent, but I do wonder about Tampa Bay. And, I think that the Lightning are looking at, I think, adding as they try to go for a three-peat. Again, this is something I think they've investigated. I don't know how serious they are, but I think they've looked into it. And I think that the idea of a contender appeals to Kane, too.
All right, so not a done deal as far as we know right now, Evander Kane.
The agent's a good source.
Exactly right. That. Take it right from the horse's mouth.
Everybody who's reporting the Oilers are into it big. They're not wrong. The Oilers are into it big.
What do you think the money is going to be for a guy like Evander Kane right now? Does the player go to the highest bidder at this point, or does it have to be a better fit for the player at this point in his career?
I think what he should do is go for the best situation for him. And we're looking at situations here. Edmonton, like we said, you can play with McDavid, you can be on that power play. With a team like Tampa, if they were to make a pitch, and like I said, I'd heard they had some interest, it's a chance to be in a long playoff run and make yourself look good. Kane here, you heard Holland say today, he believes in second chances. This would be a lot more than a second chance. There's no question about that. I think your only option is to go to the best possible situation that could make you look good as a player. And I don't think this should be about money. I would expect it would be, somewhere either minimum salary to the $1 million, maybe a slightly more than $1 million range.
All right. Speaking of players in perfect situations, Tuukka Rask, the only place he was going, he said, was Boston. That becomes official earlier today. They signed that contract, a one-year deal, prorated $1 million. They play against Montreal tomorrow night. I was kind of hoping they'd throw Tuukka right back into the fire, into the rivalry. Not going to be the case. When do you think we do get to see Tuukka again, Spoke B, starting between the pipes?
Well, I think the biggest challenge right here is when's he going to play or get a chance to play or just something, Jameson. He was supposed to play last weekend for Providence, and it got wiped out. So that's what I'm trying to figure out here. When is he going to get a chance to go to the American Hockey League and maybe play a game or two, conditioning stint, whatever it is. There's no perfect plan here. They had a good plan, but as my grandmother used to say, you plan, God laughs. And unfortunately, he couldn't do it last week. I think it just comes to a situation as can they get him into some AHL games or something at some point so that he can get some practice and some good performances out there.
Speaking of the AHL, Don Sweeney said earlier today that Jeremy Swayman is heading down to the AHL. A lot of people were kind of surprised that he couldn't go to the taxi squad, and Sweeney said, no, he's not eligible for the
waivers.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
If you are not eligible for waivers, Jameson, you cannot go to the taxi squad.
All right, good clarification right there. All right, that is done. Let's move to the Red Wings right now. Big day for them. They announced that Nicklas Lidstrom is back with the team in the role of Vice President of Hockey Operations. What do you think he's going to add in that role?
Well, I mean, he's Nicklas Lidstrom, whatever he wants. I thought the most enlightening thing about this whole thing was that he's staying in Sweden. And, his title is Vice President of Hockey Operations, Jameson. I can't remember, and anyone listening to this will tell me if I'm wrong, I can't remember someone with that high a title not being in North America with an NHL team before. So, I think this is unique, and good on the Red Wings for recognizing that if you can employ Nicklas Lidstrom's brain, you find a way to do it. I thought it was interesting. Lidstrom said that he hasn't considered being a GM or anything in the future. This is a new thing for him. But look, to add a guy like this, it's really interesting. This was a really good media conference. I don't know if anybody watched it today, but there were a lot of good questions asked. Definitely not mine, but by some other reporters. And, they asked about Yzerman, about all the players from 2002, the Cup champion. I think it's 11 or 12 that are in or have been in hockey operations roles. And he just said you have to love the game to stay in it. And there's a lot of people on that team who love the game. And I think whenever you have that, you're going to add something powerful to your organization. So I think this is a great move for Detroit.
All right. We have seen more games postponed over the last couple of days in the NHL. There have been reports that we could see a revised schedule sometime in the near future. What impact do you think that new schedule might have on the rest of the season?
Well, James, some teams have seen it. Others haven't. I don't know why some have and some haven't, but some teams have seen it. Like, for example, one of the things I've heard is that there's some teams that know the All-Star game is on the first Saturday in February. Some teams know they're going to be playing 2 days later on the Monday. So I think that we're going to have an idea about what this is going to look like for all of us by the end of January at the latest. I would bet it's going to be before that, but I'm just being careful here because I know some teams haven't seen it yet. The other thing I do know is that the league has told teams, especially in Canada, we can't be postponing games after, early next week. I know there's one game right now that was postponed from the 18th. I don't think they can go beyond that. I think right now we're out of runway and teams know they've got to play regardless of what the situations are, unless it's absolutely impossible. And there was a weird one today in Philly. I think the Hurricanes weren't happy, and I think a lot of people were surprised that the Flyers were able to practice when that game was postponed tonight. So you never know what can happen here. That's for sure.
The Canes were supposed to practice, I think, and the ice was already gone or something like that, they said. So.
They weren't very happy.
No,
that's for sure.
Wild day and a busy news day. Elliotte, we appreciate it. I do have to say your hair has never been better. I don't want you to feel too left out here on the broadcast.
My phone is blowing up. Thanks very much. I really appreciate that, B. But my phone is blowing up. I've seen the text. I've been working on my blog. I didn't even look in a mirror. I saw what I looked like, and I was like, oh, my God, you've really done it to yourself this time.
We love it, Elliotte. The insight is all we care about. Always the best. Appreciate it, and get back to work. Sorry for bugging you at the most inopportune time.
No worries, guys. Have a great night. Enjoy the games.
Tuukka Rask has signed a one-year, $1 million contract with the Boston Bruins, according to reports. Here's the latest from Joe Haggerty. Don Sweeney saying Tuukka Rask will back up Linus Ullmark tomorrow night as they take on the Habs. Jeremy Swayman will be going to Providence. Sweeney said he's actually not eligible for the taxi squad. I get confused anytime I see taxi squad. I don't know how it works. But what do you make of what's going on in Boston between the pipes, K-Dub?
Look, I thought their goaltending was really good. I've loved Swayman since he was at University of Maine. College hockey, Mike Richter Award winner, best goalie in college hockey. Came to the AHL Providence, shredded that up too. Came to the NHL, shredded that up too. I mean, I don't know. And then they get Linus Ullmark, who's played exceptionally well for them. So, judging by what we've seen from some of the comments and the fact that Tuukka's Tuukka, we know that. He's had an amazing career. It was a security blanket for them. He was very public about wanting to stay in Boston if he's going to pursue his career. Presto changeo, here he is. So, I mean, it's a great embarrassment of riches for them. But it's funny how a lot of people that were hating on Tuukka in Beantown before, then they're like, we want him back. Tuukka, come back, come back. Yeah. Even though the goaltending wasn't an issue. So this is a great situation. But something that bears watching, and I'll kind of put this out there. If you are another club, and you see that they have Tuukka back, and they have Ullmark under a contract, wouldn't you be sniffing around to explore? If
you're Ken Holland, are you investigating?
Of course.
To borrow a word?
Absolutely. Each? Would you not be on Jeremy Swayman right now?
Yeah, you're investigating, and the other team. If you're the Bruins, you're saying, okay, give me your third best forward, or maybe your second best defenseman, because I don't have to do anything with Jeremy Swayman other than put him in a car, Send him down 95, right over to Providence. Lovely city. They're building things up down there in Providence. Been driving through there a couple of times, going up to Boston.
Yeah, you go up there a lot.
Hockey. I mean, this is, to borrow from our previous segment, this is overhyped. We all knew it was going to happen, but we all knew it was going to happen, right? We all knew Tuukka was going to come back, right? We all knew that Jeremy Swayman had the ability to go back to the minors because he doesn't have to clear waivers. And we all knew that Linus Ullmark was just signed to a deal and has, you know, you don't just sign a guy for a 4 or 5 year deal, give him no trade protection to some degree, and then just ship him out somewhere else. I mean, that's not a good look. So those guys have played well. I think Swayman is part of their future there. They'll ride through this next couple of months, see where they're at. And remember, at the end of this year, Patrice Bergeron's contract is up.
Yep.
They've got some decisions to make moving forward as to where they're going. I mean, the Bruins, to their credit, they've been able to keep this window open a long time.
Yeah.
They really have. I mean,
no question.
They won the Cup in 2011. They've been back to the finals twice since then. You know, you talk about them in terms of like Chicago and LA were like teams that won cups.
That dropped off.
Like, they're dramatic drop-offs, right, for those teams. LA is starting to come back up the way. Chicago has had some struggles. Boston has been able to prop that window open a long time. But they're going to, at some point in time, you know, there's decisions to make there. And nobody plays forever. So I think they're looking at the now. Rask is back. We'll see what happens at the end of the year. Meanwhile, Swayman will play in the minors, and if they need him, they'll just come right back in and play for them if they need him.
Yeah, my buddies are coaching in Providence as well. They're and Ryan Mujnell and Matty Thomas that do an outstanding job that run their AHL team. And it's a great situation for them because they get Jeremy Swayman back,
That's right.
who they just helped graduate to the NHL, and now they get him back again. So certainly it's great for them. For Jeremy Swayman, a bit of a disappointment, but
the life of a goalie, the young goalie, because there's only a couple of spots. You know, weeks.
Totally.
No.
Don't bring me back.
Now you're back. And listen, my boys are coaching that team, but now you're back to HL. Now you're not going for a certain level of sushi on the road. You're not going to a certain steakhouse. No. Now you're back to, you know, you're ordering literally on the American League. I was just talking to Jamie Hirsch about this yesterday. So you don't know how this works. So you're on the road, right, in the American League. So say these guys are playing in Springfield. They go there. Yeah. There's a brochure. There's literally a brochure from about 4 local restaurants in the dressing room on the table with the tape and everything. And you're like, I'll have the number 2. I'll have the baked ziti with the chicken breast and the Caesar salad. And you put in your $15 in the Ziploc bag. You put a little
playable.
Exactly. No. So things change dramatically when you're not in the national. But as you said,
no envelope.
No envelope. It's a different game. But listen, maybe down the line for Jeremy Swayman, this may just add to his resume, and I think he's an outstanding young goalie, and it can't hurt by going down there to play more games, in short. Really.
Fair enough.
He'll be fine.
And, the Bees rolling right now, too, after changing up their lines, finding ways to score more goals. Big news out of Detroit today. Stevie Y announces the team has hired Nicklas Lidstrom as VP of Hockey Operations. Here's Steve Yzerman earlier today.
For the Detroit Red Wings, it was an opportunity not only to bring a former great player in, but a first-class person with great character and tremendous knowledge and a wealth of knowledge of the game. So for me, it was a very easy decision and a great opportunity. I know Nick will add tremendous value to our organization.
Steve and I, like Steve mentioned here, we've had discussions over the last month and a half or so about me joining the team again. And it's been on my mind, to be quite honest, too, for a little bit of time. I wanted to get back and get involved with hockey again, and especially with the Wings. And when the opportunity presented itself, I thought it was good timing for me, for my family, to join the Wings again. So I'm really excited when I have this opportunity to join the team again.
Well, talk about hiring a legend. I don't even think that does it justice. But just your thoughts on the hiring of Nick Lidstrom.
Well, it came down to 2 jobs. Kenny Holland was trying to get him to come back and play for the Edmonton Oilers, and he said no to that, so he took this job with Detroit. No, I'm only kidding about that, although Kenny would probably...
And he could probably be the number 2 D-man now.
Give you a few shifts
Seriously.
from time to time.
Yeah.
But he's a quality person. And aside from being one of the greatest defensemen to ever play in this league and getting it done for so long, when you think about those Red Wings teams that were great over 20-odd years, a lot of great players came and went, including Steve Yzerman. The one constant, that guy on defense. So one of the great players, and again, quality person. Lives over in Sweden now. He's got some, his young sons play over there. He's wanted to stay there, and he'll be able to do that with this position, from what I understand. He will continue to live in Sweden, and then he will be able to kind of come and go on different assignments for the Red Wings. So I think it's terrific.
You know, why I also think it's terrific is this team has done such an awesome job of recognizing people that add value, even when they don't play anymore in that franchise, starting with Steve Yzerman, Chris Draper, Kirk Maltby. You know, we can go up and down the list, Yuri Fisher, and now you add somebody in the mold of Nick Lidstrom, who's had such an illustrious career, but also always a very bright hockey mind, very progressive. And this helps to bookend because they had a real global kind of grasp of players and staff that they've had over their tenure in Detroit. Yeah. And to your point, with him being headquartered over there, that's a big advantage for them.
Yeah, that's
because,
a good point.
Right? That's a huge advantage. You've got Nick Lidstrom going to watch games and in the region, not only in Sweden, but of course you could hop over to Finland and Switzerland and the rest of it. And, I mean, those are a great set of eyes with a ton of experience that can only add value to their organization. I think it's great. Congrats.
And the Red Wings are already an exciting team here right now. They've certainly taken such a big step this year. I have to ask, you look at this team, you look at the core, you look at these young players that are doing big things. How far away do you think this team is from being a perennial playoff team once again and racking up postseason appearance after postseason appearance?
I think we're probably looking at another couple of years, maybe 2 years. I think this year they're in the mix for a playoff spot this year, and I think that's great. If they can find their way into the postseason, that will certainly accelerate their growth as a team. I think, moving forward next year, they got some good kids that are coming that aren't even there yet. So they're on the right track for sure. And but I'll be curious. I think they're kind of in the mix this year still. Yeah, they're still in the mix. I mean, they've exceeded expectations. They have Håkan Andersson, who's their head European scout. I think Jeff Blashill's doing a really good job this year. Jeff Seljaco, the goalie coach. Of course, our Alex Tanguay has done a really nice job with their group. And I could see it being a year or two, but I love what they're building. Let's look at somebody like Moritz Seider out of Germany.
Mo Seider.
I remember watching Mo, not Apple Cider, but Mo Seider. I remember watching him on our air on World Junior for Team Germany. I'm like, this guy's sick. Yeah. And I talked to a couple of my buddies over there, like, we see this guy's a player. Well, hey, leave it to the Detroit Red Wings and Steve Yzerman to pluck him way higher up the draft board than where people anticipated he would go. Yeah. Same thing when they did their homework on Lucas Raymond, who now is a major piece and one of the best rookies in the league, as is Seider. So that complements Dylan Larkin, who they found in their backyard. Credit to them. Tyler Bertuzzi, Todd Bertuzzi's nephew out of Guelph. They end up plucking him, and now they're starting to add these pieces to their group, Jack. So I think that they're on the right track right now. I'm very impressed by them. And the one kid to keep an eye on is still over in Sweden, the kid Edvinsson, who they drafted last year as a first-round pick, a high draft pick. And he is another big left-shot defenseman. He's about 6'5" or 6'6". You put him on the ice with Mo Seider, good night. Exactly. I mean, I don't know how you're doing much damage in the defensive zone or in your offensive attacking zone. Those two guys, they're big, they're long, they're going to be hard to play against for many, many years. So the Red Wings, a lot of positives. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say Sebastian Cossa as well. Who plays for the Edmonton Oil Kings, big goaltender. He was on Team Canada for the World Junior, having a big year up in Edmonton with the Oil Kings this year, too. So keep an eye on them.